also resonated with what we are hearing from survivors of sexual violence in our clinics in Tigray. We are, since November in Tigray, we have a large operation, a large humanitarian medical operation now ongoing since 5 months. And we have seen different waves of violence, but we have seen really a consistent and widespread violence against civilians, including sexual violence, but also mutilation, killings. And only when I was there in about a little bit more than a week ago in Shire, which is in central Tigray, I was there when thousands of people newly arrived from the western area, fleeing renewed violence, fleeing renewed intimidation, and the threat of being victims of violence. I think also what we're seeing is the tip of the iceberg when it comes to that, because we have documented in the visits of over 106 health facilities in Tigray, only 10% or just over 10% were functional, and over 70% of them have been looted, vandalized, and I would argue in the most malicious way, not just to take property out, but really making them unusable for anybody afterwards, and the willful destruction of medicine and supplies with huge impacts for the population.
Tom Tugendhat, President Biden is sending a high-level delegation tonight. Should the UK be doing more?
Well, I think we should definitely be working with them. President Biden is sending his fellow Delaware Senator, Chris Coons, an exceptionally gifted politician and a very, very fine judge of character and people, who is going to be going out there. I have to say, I think we should be supporting him absolutely. He's exactly the right person to send. And I've been speaking to people in the UN and in other international organizations over recent days about what's going on in Tigray. And we need to be putting pressure on Eritrean and Ethiopian forces to end this pattern of violence and this use of sexual violence in war. It's absolutely unacceptable. It's always unacceptable. But in this circumstance, it's leading to the most abject harms and extraordinary cruelty.
Well, now, even before any cuts, there are about £300 million of British aid going into Ethiopia. How can we be sure that it is going to those in need?
Well, DFID in the past, now the FCDO, is extremely careful and making sure that aid money goes exactly where it's supposed to go, which is to those most in need. So I'm sure that's exactly what our officials are doing on the ground, and they'll be keeping a very close eye on it. But in a conflict situation like this, it's very important to keep that under review. And as those of us who served in Afghanistan and saw the care that DFID staff then went to make sure it didn't fall into inappropriate hands or wasn't used inappropriately, I'm sure they're doing the same in Ethiopia and Eritrea as well.
I want to ask you both this question. Olivier, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia won the Nobel Prize. Should the Nobel Committee, and this was only 2 years ago, should the Nobel Committee reflect on that fact that they gave this prize to the leader of Ethiopia, and there is this that is going on?
As you may know, also MSF, Medecins Sans Frontieres, received the Nobel Peace Prize in 1999. Partly also for speaking about what we were seeing, of course, in the conflicts of the world. I think it's not for us as a medical organization to say who should get the prize, who should not get the prize, what should happen to people. I think for us, our task is, and that's why we got the Nobel Peace Prize, is to talk about what we are seeing, and that's what we have started to do. We've talked about the health facilities that have been destroyed. We talked about, the suffering and the lack of assistance for the displaced population, and a real urgent need also for other actors to scale up and to come to Tigray and to really provide the impartial, independent humanitarian assistance that is needed in the conflict. And that's partly also what is lacking at the moment.
Olivier, thank you very much indeed for talking with us. Tom Tugendhat, I'm sorry we're out of time, but a quick one-sentence thought.
Well, when Henry Kissinger was given the Nobel Peace Prize, Tom Lehrer said satire was dead. Since then, Aung San Suu Kyi has got it, and we know what happened in Rakhine, and now we're seeing what's happening in Tigray.